I was before. Also, I stopped having a hot flash, so that'll take the temperature down a little bit. I'm what they call a well-rounded theater person, which means I will do absolutely anything for $80. Absolutely. I will stage manage your shit. I will costume your shit. I will sing lead. I will write you a song. I will write a show. I will do all those things. Everybody goes, "You're so talented." I'm like, "I'm so hungry." This gig economy is bullshit. This is bullshit. Why do I have to pay taxes when I'm not getting anything? Hashtag. Okay. So I wanted to do a story. Now, when I first got to the city, I did the thing where I wanted to become an actor, and then I went to a cattle call for The Lion King, and everybody that I hated from college was there, and I was like, I'm gonna be a club kid. And I did. I made a living as a club kid. I was a cigarette girl. And I had the tray, the Betty Rubble tray, where you walk around and you're like, cigars, cigarettes, candy. I did that. I did it for like 3 years. There were 2 occasions that I made my rent in one evening. Wesley Snipes looked down my shirt, and Dr. Ruth told me, "You're really, really sexy. You look very much like Betty Page." Which was good, because I was a Betty Page impersonator. And she's kind of an expert, so there you go. Anyway, but that's who I am. I didn't come to the city to get famous. I came here to fuck shit up. I'm still doing that. Really, really well. No, seriously. Like, think about what your aspirations are. Did you come to New York to have a good, stable youth? Alright, so I'm going to do a story that's a little bit about pride and a little bit about fathers. And it's a doozy. This is up and down. I'm silly, so even though it's a little uncomfortable in some places, I got you, okay? And then I'm going to do a little music for you at the end, sort of tied together. Okay. So, in 1990, when I was in college, I had just graduated from high school. I went to a fancy-ass boarding school in upstate Michigan, and I had a girlfriend. And I was so into her. And she was cheating on me. It was perfect. And right before college, we had to break up, because that's the thing, right? You gotta do the thing. She's going to college in Oregon, and I'm going to college in upstate New York. Yeah, she's cunty. I mean, scroty. Anyway, so I'm breaking up with her, but I'm in college, and I don't know anybody there. So I call my mom, and I'm like, "Oh, calm down. Just calm down." My mother is from Wisconsin. She's a light-skinned lady. Wait, before I say that, where are my people of color at? Where are my white-passing people of color? Welcome, brother. Welcome. Welcome to the struggle. So my mom is, if you ever saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the secretary, he's an awesome dude. My mom talks like that, for real. But she also knows like 6 other languages, so it's weird. So she'll be like, "Anyway, I can send it to her." And you're like, why? Why are you my mother? You're adorable, but why? You know? So mom is trying to make me feel better. And she says, "Oh, honey, oh, it's okay. I thought you were in jail or something." It's my mom, you guys. She thinks the best of me. So I say, "Mom, I'm gay." And she goes, "Well, that's not a problem. That's okay, honey." So I go to coming out day and I'm like, "Hey you guys, my mom's a Catholic and she's cool with it, bye." And I'm so happy. And then 2 weeks later, I get a message on my answering machine. Now I've just outed myself with how old I am. On my answering machine. And it's my mom. "Oh, hi Camille, I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about what you said, and I just want to let you know, if you ever get pregnant in college, I want you to come home and have the baby." I like literally was like, there was no internet, so I couldn't tell her to Google celibacy and lesbianism. That was an impossibility at the time. But I figured we could go through the Encyclopedia Britannica when I got home. And she said, "Come home and have the baby." And I was like, oh, I came out to her as a lesbian, and Catholic 60s brought up mom is thinking women's rights, lesbianism, abortion. That's what she's thinking, though. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on in her round little head. So So I think about it, and then I call her back because I've taken 3 weeks of women's studies classes, and I know how to solve sexism now. I can do it now. I can do it now. And I call her and I say, Mom, I know where you're coming from. I understand you're making an equivalency between lesbianism, feminism, reproductive rights, and abortion. She was like, yeah. And I was like, well, let me tell you something. If every pro-life person in this country adopted a baby whose parents weren't ready to take care of them or couldn't take care of them, we wouldn't have a problem. And she goes, oh. And I said, I don't remember who the disgusting senator of that time was, but let's just say Rick Santorum, because we all know what we're thinking. And I said, what if one day Rick Santorum went into his office, and on his beautiful taxpayer-paid-for desk was a bassinet, white wicker, white eyelet lace, little pink ribbons all over it, and a stork who talks, who says, this is for you, it's a blessing, surprise, it's yours forever, love God. We would have abortion vending machines. They would be on every corner. Everybody would be able to get an abortion whenever they wanted to. Because they don't know what it's like to all of a sudden have an alien who's crawled up your vagina. I don't want to talk about it any further than that, okay? So, my mom, okay. Another 2 weeks goes by. I get an application or a recommendation application request from the Wisconsin State Board of Foster Care. For my mother. She wants to become a foster parent. And my mom is not just adorable, but also super literal. She went for it. She was like, no, fuck that, she's right. So we got a baby, and this baby was one of a set of twins who was suffering from cocaine withdrawal, and that kid cried for 9 months until we got them back together with their twin, and their parent went through rehab. And then she said to the people at the board, she said, don't ever separate another pair of twins again, just give me the twins. They're my siblings. And after she got the twins were 18 months old and not totally doing their things yet, the walking and the talking and the eating by themselves all real good. They called her up and they said, we have another little black male we'd like to bring to you. And they show up with my sister. It's pretty pink. pretty pink. Anyway, so that's how I became a big sister, just by coming out to my mother. Now, I usually tell this story to people on the train who are just trapped, but I'll show them. So many years later, I had a return to Saturn. You know, the return to Saturn where your life just goes completely to shit. You're like Buddha. You're like, wow, how did I fall off that roof and become a holy man? Like, what the fuck? So I had this year, I had a job in a jewelry store, shitty job. And I have a dance injury. I was a dancer from the time I was 4 until the time I was 18. I did a lift in a show, and instead of doing the lift that way, my spine decided that was a good way to go. And because dance is a sport, my coach said, get back up there and do it again. And I did, and I did it for the rest of the show, and by the end of the semester, I could not walk. So I've been fighting this back issue for 20 years. Oops, now I gave him the number. Anyway, so I'm 38. This point in my life, and my back has just gotten to the point where no acupuncture needle can jam that pain out of me. I get a cold, I blow the rest of my disc out. The rest of that year was just like dealing with my body. I had to have spinal fusion. I had a bad operation. I get out of spinal fusion, I start to recover. I break my foot stepping in a pothole in Chinatown. Fun stuff. And then while I'm laying in my bed recovering from all the illnesses, I Google my father, who I do not know. This is not a thing. It's not a thing. My mother was his secretary. I never really understood how that happened. He was just not there. Except for the one time I met him in a parking lot in Bennigan's in Michigan on my way to my fancy-ass boarding school. And he said, meet me in the parking lot of Bennigan's. And I'm thinking, oh shit, we're going to Bennigan's. But this Bennigan's was closed. This Bennigan's was weeds through the pavement. And this son of a bitch crawls out of his pickup truck and says, "Hi, Tammy, nice to meet you. It'd be better if you went to a black school." And I was like, no, he's a fucking dick. All right, fine. No, you're good. I'm going to my fancy ass boarding school. So I discover on the Google machine that my father is dead. And no one in his family knows me to tell me. So Google told me. And I read the fucking obituary, and I knew he was much older than my mother. He had 3 children from his first marriage, 2 children from his second marriage. I'm reading all the way down about all his accomplishments, how he used to be the president of Big Brothers Big Sisters in Michigan. And he has a cooperative farm called The Collective where he takes fatherless urban children and teaches them how to make a farm happen. Oh, black children. Just a little hypocrisy. So, so he's dead, and I read the obituary, and at the bottom it says, "and 33-year-old daughter of Benny Hester." And I'm like, well, fuck, there's already been a little, "Hey guys, I don't know, it's me, I'm much younger, and this is okay." So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna put them through this again. This is obviously stupid, I hate this man, whatever. Thanksgiving comes around, and I get an email. "Hi, I know Leroy. Let's talk." And I go to Facebook and I'm like, "Is this a scam? What is happening? Who wants my social security number?" Because Russia already has it. And and they say, "Well, ask pointed questions." You know, all my Facebook is gay. It's just the way it is. And I go, "Something Michigan specific?" And she's like, "Yeah, Kalamazoo." So I'm scared to death to talk to this person. And on Christmas Eve, she called me. So I got a sister for Christmas, which is like some Simpsons happy ending shit. Nah, fuck that. That's some Canadian PBS ending shit. It was beautiful. I went out to Chicago. I met her. She's dirtier than I am, which was surprising. Very surprising. And my mom was sick on and off over the past 2 years, so if you really want your mom off your hands for a while, get her a gift certificate to the DNA stuff. Silence. For 2 years. But she's found 400 relatives. Now, Pop-Pop having 23, Daddy Pop-Up, because the South is my grandfather, having 23 brothers and sisters is just the tip of the iceberg, all right? But she's found 400 people that we are related to in the now and in the past. And it's really cool because there's things like, you know, on the census, like one of my white relatives comes from England and she was sent here for larceny of servant. Oh, scandalized my name. But she also found a set of, we're Atkinsons. She found a set of Atkinsons in the same neighborhood where Daddy's family grew up. They'd been there for just as long, but they weren't called Atkinson anymore. They were called Boston. I said, "Mama, why? What happened?" She said, "Well, they were the ones who chopped up Old Massa." I was like, "Oh, we need to talk about this. Who was Old Massa?" She said, "Alexander Atkinson." I'm like, "Well, I guess Big Mama didn't know that before she named Uncle Alec." But yeah, they killed him. They murdered him, and I have a lot of feelings about that. Most of them are like, that's most of my feelings. But anyway, I did the DNA. I found out I'm 65% brown kind of people from 8 different African regions. 8. My admixture is like a Western European history textbook. I'm Scandinavian and Finnish and Russian. And look, people, your percentages are going down. What are you going to be when you're 3% everything? What? So my sister, my baby sister, the one they threw at me, the young black male, did hers. And she found her birth family. She has 3 sisters and 2 brothers. And I thought about it. It's like, there's another baby come home. My mom likes to bring her babies home, right? After I visited a Benny and got to know how disgustingly filthy she was, I went home, and this was pussy grabbing summer. And my mom sat me down on the couch, and she goes, I want you to know that when Anita Hill was giving testimony in the trial, they were vetting Clarence Thomas to be on the Supreme Court, that I wrote her a letter. And I'm like, what did you write? She wrote, I told her that I completely understood the situation she had lived through with Clarence Thomas because I had had a boss just like that. I said, Mom, you said that out loud. She said, I know. I said, you said that to me. She said, I know. So I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I realized something. After my mom's assault and her discovery that she was pregnant with me, she called Dad. And Daddy said, come home and have the baby. All right, so I was gonna sing for you guys a little bit. It's a little low, right? A little low feeling.